And today is Wednesday, and you know how we do on our show. So just a few things here. Today, this is we're going to really address. We want to address the issue uh, today, or at least discuss today, um, what it really looks like to. Do you remember the old American dream? I do apologize about the lighting. I actually knocked over my light today, so if it seems a little dim, I do apologize. It would definitely be better. But, we're going to take the next 7 minutes to kind of just look at some things. Do you remember the old American dream? And the reason I say old, because this was the American dream that our parents, if they were born between pretty much between 58, you go to World War II, baby boomers, that's what you're really looking at for the American dream. That American dream, uh, that millions of people in America went over and they wanted, it kind of looked like this. One, keep your head down. Don't whatever you do, don't even open your mouth. Keep your head down, follow instructions, show up on time, don't ever be late to work. It was work hard, remember that, and suck it up. Do you remember that American dream? For many of Americans, I remember growing up hearing about that as a minority in America that migrated here and having my family. One of the things they used to always say is be a good citizen. No matter what you do, you're going to understand you're going to have a disadvantage. One, because of your background. Two, your name is going to be an issue because it's hard to pronounce anyway. And at the same time, this was the method. One, keep your head down. Two, follow instructions. Three, show up on time. Don't ever be late. Work hard and suck it up. Now, that was the American dream, and the American dream was there all the way until about 2008. That's when that American dream started to change. Now, for many of you may say, what do you mean by that? It changed. It actually did. Because remember, on today's show, if you looked at the thumbnail, it's about you. You, that's right, you yourself being the entrepreneur of the week. So when you think about the way the old American dream was, and we put it in perspective when we look right now about the new American dream, okay, now you say, what's the new American dream? Because the old American dream is over. The new American dream, though most people may have not gotten the memo, it has been marketed ever since the Great Recession of 2008. What is that? Number one, be remarkable. Three, be generous. Four, create art. Five, make judgment calls. And actually, four, make judgment calls. And five, connect people and ideas. Now, you probably would realize what I already know. You and I both agree that in America, as far as America is concerned, and people in general, it'd be very hard in the marketplace for any organization to really find somebody to replace you if you carry the new American dream aspect of it. Think about it for a second. Do more people want to work more hours than you? You can find somebody to work more hours, it still ain't gonna solve the problem. Someone that has more industry experience than you can find somebody who's gonna work more hours and may have more industry experience. But let me ask you this question: are they gonna want to work as long as you? Because the more experience you have, actually, the less time you do work. The more industry knowledge you have, the less time you actually talking. What takes somebody 8 hours to do in a day would take AI to do in 2 hours. Would take some. This is the reason that so many people are being replaced today, is because their life, the way that they operate, is based on the old American dream. But this week, you're the entrepreneur of the week. You have to make that transition. You got to move from being a person who has knowledge, industry just knowledge itself. Someone that says, I'm going to work and I'm just watching the clock so I can get my 8 hours in or my 10 hours in, get that overtime. When you start thinking about overtime, it's different because you find entrepreneurs today, they may work 16-hour days, but they're not in it for the overtime. That's not what they're doing it. They're in it to be what I just discussed. Number one, which I think is important, they're trying to be it. Well, actually, not even trying. They actually are going to be remarkable. They're going to be generous. Generous means they're going to build a team around making that team faster, sharper, brighter, get them to be doers, not thinkers. The problem with thinkers is they always aim, but they don't shoot. But doers, they're going to create an art. What do you mean create an art? See, part of you running your company every day, being the entrepreneur of the week, is actually what you do is not something, the attributes that make up you, your overall personality, can't be attributed to someone else. I mean, there's certain people that's 6 feet tall. There's certain people that's 5'5". There's other people who are, it's not about a height thing. It's about an understanding thing. So each one of us, as we know, have been given inalienable rights and also attributes that was lent to us by a creator for the jobs while we're here on earth to actually facilitate. When you have a situation like that, it's so important that you and I never forget that comes with making judgment calls and then connecting people that's associated with that judgment calls to be able to implement ideas. So, what I wanted to address, what I wanted to challenge you guys on was as you being the entrepreneurs of the week. And again, if you never liked or subscribed or followed our channel before, is I pointed that out. It's also be information to body, but to give you a hard pro tip for today. Now, I gave you the background. Here's the pro tip. If you want to become indispensable, that's what I talked about on Monday, becoming indispensable. This is a continuation. That means that you're going to release the old American dream and you're going to embrace the new American dream, which is becoming indispensable, becoming a person of experience. I have an associate who was able to challenge his employer, and what I mean challenge, I mean challenge. As he worked at a company, he decided that, you know what, I'm going to ask for a raise. I don't feel like they respect me. He pushed the envelopes. He got a raise. Then he said he's going to leave. They gave him another raise. Then he left, went away to another company, and he came back. And when he came back, they gave him another raise. How in the world can a man get 3 raises, leave the employer, and well, actually 2 raises, leave the employer and come back with a raise? Because he is indispensable. Now, some of you may say was, oh, he just lucky. Oh, I would beg to differ. It's not luck. It's not luck at all. It's because when they know, when someone realizes that you're a person of experience, it's very difficult. Not saying that doesn't what the position that took place doesn't warrant the fact that there could possibly be some repercussions of that. But more importantly, just being able to understand that you develop the skills to move things along. I worked with the gentleman before in the process of one time when I was moving from one place to the next. Him and another gentleman. I won't mention their names because if they're watching, they already know who they are. I was mesmerized by his set of skills on the way that he can move through the restoration when it comes to a property. I had no idea. Once he put that bandana on, I don't know what was on that bandana, but it must have been a holy bandana because the next thing I know, I found myself in a full out sweat. Before I knew it, I was trying to paint from the ground and he was all over the place. And the only thing I can remember is to see his facial expression and his smile when he realized that my skill proficiency was not up to par with him. And that's exactly what his employer found out when he left and they brought in other people. And when he came back, they found out his skill proficiency is not a conversation. Underneath the old American dream, the reason you was told to shut up because you didn't gain experience as you've been there. Tenure didn't meant that you got better at doing your job and faster. It meant that you kept your mouth shut and you did everything slower, that little snail pace. Now, not everybody did this because for most of the guys who are from that generation, the baby boomers and the World War II parents, a lot of those individuals were disgusted by the American dream. Not that when they attained it, but they were disgusted with the individual who didn't have the same experience with them. That's one of the biggest issues and pet peeves among the union people today. And the union people say they're getting the same pay as me, but they don't have the same experience. Well, that comes from the American dream standpoint. But now that you're the number one employee of the week, you got to understand that if you're going to be successful, if you're going to change the way the footprint of America looks like, then you have to know that the old American dream, that part where he told you keep your head down, you can't keep your head down with the new American dream. You have to have your head up. To follow instructions, you got to break the instructions. What do I mean by that? Now, if you were in a position where you're a manager or you're an employee and you work for someone, then you need to follow instructions. But if you notice, the thumbnail says you're the employee of the week, which means you're not the one that worked for someone. You're the one that people work for. So as an employee of the week, you got to break all the instructions, and you have to begin to define and be very clear what what your instructions are, not destruction, but your instructions are. And when you make your instructions very clear, it is a challenge for anybody who's out there who doesn't know what clarity looks like or sounds like, because you're going to be leading. How come? Because here's the hardest thing. You have to show up on time. But what is the definition of time? It's creating art. Old way for people who were in the old American dream, it was showing up on time. So now you got to create art, which means during the time that you're working, you literally almost like a painter. And this is where the artistic part comes in. You're painting a new fabric, because here we go. When people work at home, how can they show up on time? They could turn their computer on and still be in their pajamas. I mean, we all know that. Right off of La Vista, Pepin and La Vista, they had PayPal. And if you guys are not familiar with the public trading company PayPal, they couldn't get employees to come back. So what did? They sold their building. They had so many people who, after the COVID situation, now we got the restart, they didn't want to come back to work. So they could not keep the place filled. What did? It was part of when you go back in their footnotes and you're reading, that was one of their issues. A lot of people don't want to do it. But I'm going to tell you this. You got to make that judgment call. What did? They got rid of an entire building. No longer in La Vista, Nebraska. Well, the PayPal building is there, but it's no longer owned by PayPal. That's right. I know several parents and friends whose children worked at PayPal. Where do they work now? From home. Being the employee entrepreneur of the week and having employees that want to work from home, here's the other thing. When I say connected to people, some people think that's like association, where you get together with like-minded people. You have coffee, you go to a coffee shop, you go to business meetings, you meet up with other business entrepreneurs, you may go to a smoke shop. No, I'm not talking about none of that. I just want to be very adamant and clear about that. When I say connected people, we're talking about connecting the people to get stuff done, not connecting the people that sit in the room and hear you talk. Underneath the new American dream, there is no connected with anyone who's just there. I mean, there is no such thing as a yes man underneath the new American dream. It's a reality that everybody's in that room have a task to do. We're going to leave it and we're going to do it. You say, well, I don't know what I'm doing. You'll figure it out as you start to do it. That's what the new American dream is. How come? Because you ain't got no choice. Because ideas are not concepts to talk about. They're activities that produce productivity. So if you're the entrepreneur of the week, if you're the boss and you're not connected, then you want to make sure that you go back through, read the body. I put the notes in the body. And as I put that information in the body, I talk about the old American dream and the new American dream. I talk about you being the entrepreneur of the week. I tell you exactly how you must. I even put the steps 1 through 5. And there's 5 steps on the old American dream and then 5 steps on the new American dream. Every Monday and Wednesday, I get business pro tips here at CFS Studios on the show Primo Talks. It is vital that you make sure that these are just not concepts. Do not watch our channel for entertainment. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy sharing information and you being entertained. But I'm going to tell you one thing is more important to me. I don't care if you like me or not, but I am more concerned about your destination than I'm worried about my reputation. So if I can make sure that my reputation, at least the way you view me is, hey, man, I really don't like the guy, but the guy makes sense. He makes sense not from common sense, because common sense means that that's my experience and it's not yours. So it's not going to be common to you. I'm not going to be that subjective. But from a standpoint of if I implement this, and I'll give you a little idea. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write it down, make it plain so that anybody who picks it up can actually have that activity. That's what my whole show is about. It's about making it so plain that if you pick up the information, you can actually immediately implement it. Case in point. Today I had an opportunity when I stepped home. I had to rush home for a second. And when I got home, there was a notice on my door from a person that was doing advertisement. I had the opportunity to meet. I want to give a shout out to Miss Maria. In the process of that, we had a great conversation. She is the CEO. She was out putting flyers on door. So I asked her the $1 million question. Can I ask you a question? Are you in business of giving money away? And most people, when they look at me, when I make that statement, they be like, what are you talking about? That's exactly. I mean, When you don't know the person's house you're going to, or you don't have any concept, and you go to the U.S. Postal Service, or you go to the store and you go buy a bunch of flyers, and you take those flyers and you go do guerrilla marketing, it means that you're giving money away. Now, you could take whatever it costs you to do it, divided by how many sheets of paper you have. And in any case, you're giving out money. And I tell people do this all the time. They say I'm in business, but they give out money. I don't care if it's 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent, 10 cents. This customer's not yours. That customer's not yours. Let me just explain something to you. Marketing is not an excuse where you can actually justify giving money out for free. That's what people think marketing is. Let me just explain to you. Come on Monday, I'm going to give you a pro tip on marketing, and it's not going to be about paying cash and being happy to give it away. But on today, as the Entrepreneur of the Week, I just want to be very clear. The whole purpose of being the Entrepreneur of the Week is understanding that you are the individual and you're creating the new American dream, because you can't go back to the old anymore. That's over with. And, take that opportunity and sit down. And I want you to really think about the way you view life. Are you stuck in the old American dream? Or are you a trendsetter? Or are you the Pirates of the Caribbean? Or are you the shark? Or are you the artist that is paving the way for the next generation that's in the current educational system? Think about it. I'll see you guys next Monday and next Wednesday on Business Pro Tips, and then we'll see you on Friday for the slate. You guys have a wonderful, great evening.